And I told you that was going to happen. I knew I was going to blank out. Absolutely knew I was going to blank out, because what would this Twitch cast be without me completely blanking out? That would be terrible. Okay. Da, 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 da. Okay, so I'm going to wait for a few seconds. Make sure that this is for some reason too. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but it's really frustrating when you're trying to live Twitch cast a game. Because you don't want to lose viewers, you know? Yada, yada, yada. Because really, it's so much fun doing these Twitch casts, and I hate losing my train of thought, and I hate...
Didn't much care for those humans anyways.
Oh, you again.
Always urinating in my river.
Why do you keep following me, telling me that, dude? I don't want to know how people are peeing in your river. Okay. So let's talk about the individual gods. So right now we're in the vineyard of Dionysus. And he, of course, was a god of wine and revelry. So you'll notice that there are little jugs of wine everywhere. And of course they're associated with Dionysus. And there he is. He's partying down because he's kind of awesome. In fact, he's super awesome. And the idea in this mini game is to drink all the jugs of wine before time runs out. But it's a little difficult to do because if I go all the way up to the left, I can't open this door and I don't know how to open it right now. So if I go up here, see, there's more wine. Just trying to get an idea of where all the wine is. See, I can't open this door either. So I'm going to have to find a way to open those doors as I go along. Alright. You get an idea of how huge his dominion is and how many party revelers are around. It's pretty awesome. And we've got a stone slab that tells us all about Dionysus and the people associated with him. So satyrs were often associated with Dionysus. And this one says, charming is a venomous of satyrs when they dance, and charming the ribaldry when they laugh. They are given to life, noble creatures that they are, and they subdue the Lydian women to their will by their artful flatteries. And this too is true of them. They are hardy, hot-blooded beings, with prominent ears, lean about the loins, altogether mischievous, and having the tails of horses. And that was from Philostratus the Elder. So what's really cool about this game is it has real quotes from ancient authors scattered around Olympus. I really like that. So why am I getting into a drinking contest? I mean, what gave Alien Trap that idea other than it's sort of a fun mini game? Well, there was actually a festival in Athens that was dedicated to celebrating Dionysus and wine, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But as you can see, I'm getting super drunk out of wine right now, and it's pretty awesome. And if I don't drink fast enough, I will pass out. Let's see how far I can get. Not doing too bad. Oh, I just ran the person over. That's not good. And those arrows are telling me where the rest of the drink is. No, I can't get in there. Oh no. Oh no. I think I'm gonna pass out. That's not good. Yep, there you go. That's awesome. So a kid in my sophomore English class had a report on contrasting Christian religion from Greek, and it said Christian religion different from Greek religion. The interesting thing is actually Greek religion absorbed a lot of pagan religions, and that was the case around the world, so it's interesting to see how much Christian religion was influenced by pagan religions around the world. And it's not a bad thing, because the truth is we're all spiritual creatures and we have all our beliefs, and they often sort of absorb each other. So let's look at the local map. Alright, we got Apollo, Artemis, and Hades. So do I go back and try to win Dionysus over, or do I let that drinking contest go? I'm not sure. It's all good. But while on the subject of religion, let me pull out my book on Greek religion again. There it is. And let's talk about a festival in ancient Athens called the Anthesteria Festival. And this was a spring festival dedicated to the god of wine. So I'm going to read you a little bit about it because it's really interesting. It'll tell you sort of the inspiration that Alien Trap may have had when they were making this game. So this festival extended over 3 days. There was jar opening, wine jugs, and pots, named after the simple necessities for wine drinking and a meal of pottage. On the day of the wine jugs, the drinking of the new wine turns into a contest. Each person receives his measure of mixed wine in a special jug, well known archaeologically, which has a capacity of more than 2 liters. The first to drain the jug is the winner. Slaves also join in this drinking, and so do children. Once children have reached the age of 3, they are introduced to the family association at the festival and also take part in the coes drinking, using a very smaller juglet. Birth, coes, ephebia, and marriage. These were the milestones of life. So what happened in ancient Athens was that they actually had a whole festival that was dedicated to wine and Dionysus. And the first day especially was basically a big drinking contest. So when I'm running around with Nicandrios having a drinking contest with the god, well, it's not inappropriate, which I find pretty funny. All right. So we're wandering around. And again, this is the House of Dionysus. I don't think we're going to go into another drinking contest until I can figure out how to open those doors that I couldn't open before. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over. Let's go visit Artemis. Like Beer Fest. Yes, it was like Oktoberfest. All right. Oh, what do we have here? This is the Forest of Artemis. Excellent. And let's read a little bit about Artemis. I sing of Artemis, whose shafts are of gold, who cheers on the hounds, the pure maiden, shooter of stags, who delights in archery, own sister to Apollo with a golden sword. Over the shadowy hills and windy peaks, she draws her golden bow, rejoicing in the chase, and sends out grievous shafts. The tops of the high mountains tremble, and the tangled wood echoes awesomely with the outcry of beasts. Earthquakes and the sea also where fishes shoal. That's actually a Homeric hymn. So it's a very, very ancient tale about the goddess Artemis. Now it's interesting that Artemis actually had different forms throughout the world. Some saw her as a mother goddess, sort of towards the east, but in parts of Attica, she was a goddess of the wild. She was a goddess who separated the boundaries between civil life in the polis and the wild countryside. So it's very interesting, depending on where you were in ancient Greece and when. So we're going to go into the sacred forest of Artemis. So someone's saying you should do drunk history and games. I'm actually toying with the idea of doing a YouTube channel called Ancient Alcoholic. And what a great segue. Look what I have with me. I have Retsina. Ta-da! So this is called Kortaki Retsina. It's from Attica, which is the area just outside of ancient Greece. And the reason I have this is because this is the semi-equivalent of what the ancient Greeks used to drink. In ancient Greece, in order to transport wine, they had these huge amphora, these huge clay pots that they would use to transport things like wine, olive oil, grains, etc., etc. Now, because clay pots are porous, in order to keep out the oxygen from spoiling the wine, the ancient Greeks would take a little bit of pine resin and rub it on the inside of the clay pot before putting the wine in. So of course, when you poured out the wine, it would have a little bit of a resin flavor. Now, not every Greek wine had this, but most did because there was no other way to transport ancient Greek wine. However, some people developed a taste for it, and there's actually evidence that people would put more resin into the wine just because people had acclimated a taste for resin. But it's not a very popular flavor today. Let me just say, I actually had to special order this Retsina in order to try it. So, I have here a glass of Retsina. It's a white wine, as you can see. It has this very light golden color. If I take a whiff of the bouquet, it has a sweet but sharp bite to it. So it's chilled. So let me take a sip and let me describe what it tastes like. And this would sort of be what the ancient Greeks would taste. Because they had red wines, but they had white wines too. So it definitely tastes like a white wine. It's a little bit dry, and yet it has a syrupy bite to it. So it's pine resin, but it's not like you're drinking turpentine or pine sol or anything like that. It's a very light, flavor. And it can definitely stand up to things like garlic dip and stronger flavors. Most white wines, you have to have something a little more delicate. You couldn't have like red meat with white wine. It usually doesn't work. You can try it, it's not a problem, but usually white wine goes better with something lighter like chicken or fish. But this has just enough of a bite, it can stand up to a lot of things. And I don't mind it at all. I actually kind of like it. Now, if you get cheap Retsina, that's a totally different story. It's like any cheap wine. But if it has a ton of pine resin in it and it's cheap, it's going to be tough for you. But this particular brand is, again, it's Kortaki. I don't know how well you can see that. I had to special order it because it is difficult to find in America. I'm in the Bay Area, California, and I was able to get it from a specialty wine shop in San Francisco, but I did have to special order it. But if you are someone who enjoys wine and wants something different, this has a very light pine resin taste, and it's recognizably white wine, but it also has a bit of a bite. It's something different. I don't hate it. I actually kind of like it. It's pretty good. All right. Salud. So, now that I've had a sip of Retsina and I feel very Greek, especially ancient Greek, I feel like I'm amongst Homer's heroes. We're gonna run around. Oh!
The forest reveals a fresh-faced hunter.
Nymphs.
Test yourself against the wilderness of Artemis.
No.
The maiden has no time for the pleas of simple men. Stand above these other huntsmen who play with their toys.
Become
Is that a euphemism or what?
in the wild. Slay the great wolf. Cut down the venomous chimera. Cast out the boorish satyrs who pollute our shrine.
Quite a
Show your
list.
worth to the eyes of Artemis, and she will cast her favor upon you.
Okay, so I now have 3 more objectives. Let's take a look at what they are. So I hunt the dire wolf. Oh no, the poor Starks, haven't we picked on them enough? That's a Game of Thrones joke if you have no idea what I'm referencing. We can cleanse the sanctuary where the satyrs are messing around, or we can defeat the chimera. Let's go check out the sanctuary first. Is Retsina expensive? It wasn't too bad. I mean, the most expensive part of it was shipping, just because I had to special order it. But the Retsina itself was only $11, but it's all the way in like San Mateo or something. That's kind of far from where I live. So I just decided to owe you Rtaki, Kortaki, and it's from selected